All right, welcome back to the Crit Hit Wild character review segment where we take a look at old characters and see how they operate in the current meta, as well as give our hot takes on new characters that have just been released. So, if you're joining us on YouTube for the character review segment, do know that we have full podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Uh, where we just kind of talk about weekly games we've played. We talk about new MCP news that's been released, as well as kind of go over Cerebro news. So, and then in general, just shoot the shit. So if you want to get all the feeling of your post LGS game night talk that always ends up happening after everybody's done and maybe the shop's closed, come give our podcast a listen. Check us out. Yeah, subscribe to it, listen to it. But yeah. So, anyways, taking a look at Supergiant, aka Supergiant. Uh, she, she is one physical defense, which we'll talk about that here in a second. Three energy defense, four mystic. She has a five stamina pool, three threat, size two, short move. She has a range three, five dice, auto one power builder called Mental Vampire, and she has the Drain Life, which operates the same as Omega Red's ability, which if it dealt damage during the attack, she heals one, just one flat, not one per damage dealt. And then she has a, I'm just gonna bleed this out, I guess. She has a Devastate Intellect Spender. It's range 2, 8 dice, 8 power cost. If this attack would deal damage, it does not deal the damage, and the target character loses that much power instead. So it doesn't do damage, all it does is get rid of power. It has a wild stun trigger, so after it's resolved, you gain stun. It has a double wild stagger trigger. After it's resolved, gain stagger. Then it has a crit wild hit skull trigger called Devour Mind. After it's resolved, the target character is healthy. It becomes dazed. If the target character is injured, it becomes KO'd. I'm going to talk about this a lot here in a minute, but for the rest of her powers, she has an active superpower, Submit. It's X cost to use, so she may spend up to 5. Choose a civilian token within the range of the character, where the range is the amount of power spent to use a superpower. So she can interact with the chosen token without paying the power cost. So if there's a civilian nearby, she can interact with it up to range 5 if she spends the power to interact with it. She has a reactive Supreme Control, cost 2. When an allied character within 4 would be pushed, she can use the superpower. The character is not pushed. So a little bit of defensive tech there as far as control goes. She has a passive ethereal ability. If this character would suffer 2 or more damage from a physical attack or collision, it suffers 1 damage instead. Additionally, if this character suffers damage from a physical attack or collision, it drops all objective tokens it is holding. Uh, so just to kind of go over that one again, if she takes more than 1 damage from a physical attack, she'll only ever take 1, and it's only for physical only. And that's the same way with collisions. If she would suffer from damage from a collision, she'll only suffer 1 from it if she would take more. So makes her very sturdy into physical matchups, but she will drop any objective token that she's holding. So then she has a passive. Is it omnipathy? Is that how you say that? Omnipathy? How do you say that?
I think that's correct.
Um,
Omnipotence.
when an enemy character within 3 of this character rolls 1 or more crits, after it's resolved, she gains power. So anybody rolls crit within 3, she gets power. And then finally, she is the Gem Bear for the soul. On her flip side, nothing changes. So I know it's kind of where it's a new character, kind of had to bleed it out. She has a lot of unique abilities. Uh, I think a lot of her abilities aren't in the game, or they're in the game, but they're for like maybe a different effect. So like Doc Ock has the thing where he rolls a crit, he gains a power. She has it where within 3 they roll a
Yes.
quit, she gets a
Scientific
power. So like it's all different and it's all weird. But now that I've kind of gone over the card, I'll let both of you kind of give your thoughts on her before I go into my rant here in a minute. So go ahead and what do you guys think?
Uh, uh, if so, my first takeaway here. I like some of this stuff. Like, there's some interesting stuff. But and she's cost 3, which is a big positive that she's kind of on the cheaper end for Black Order. I don't. The biggest thing for me, and this is me nitpicking, is that she is a small base with a short move, and that is just that means that she's never where you want her to be. That means that she's going to be slow off the gate. She has a range 3 builder, which is not awful. That's not awful with that, but she's going to be kind of in the back line the entire game. Uh, I like her. I like her builder. Her spender. I don't know how you ever get that off. Like, it costs 8 power, and she only has 5 stamina. So, I mean, there's lots of ways to get power. She could have the Soul Stone that could get her power, and she gets that omnipathy, which is basically anti-scientific hubris, which also gets her power. But 8. How do you? And she has a bunch of reactive superpowers that you probably do want to spend. That one that she can prevent your models from being pushed is pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I'm rambling. Someone stop me.
No, I mean
I'll talk.
yeah, go ahead, Brad.
I think that her design is very neat. There's a lot of stuff that shows where this game has a lot of breathing room for them to make abilities. I think her combination of abilities is very niche and not something you would take in most cases. And definitely not something I think Black Order specifically was looking for.
Yeah, I don't think that she does a whole lot for Black Order. So to your point, Fred, the 8 power, I think what they're kind of anticipating is maybe you're taking a soul stone, so you're generating 2 every more, and then you're getting value out of omnipathy. So
And the
maybe,
Soul
Yeah,
Stone.
but yeah, and then so you're getting 2 power turn plus if they use a superpower, you're getting more power. So she can get loaded up. The thing is, I don't. So I think to Brad's point, I actually think a lot of her kit is neat. Like I think Omnipathy is cool. She can take the soul gem, so that's neat. The
I
ethereal
agree.
ability is probably what I think is the coolest thing about her, because if you play her into any matchup that takes nothing but like physical beaters, so Brotherhood comes to mind because they don't really have, yeah, Criminal Syndicate, Avengers. Avengers sometimes can branch out and get different stuff, but for the most part, am I missing any others? Are there any other that are like physical dominant?
I mean, a lot. It's the most
I mean,
common
it's the most
attack in
common
the
thing,
game.
but like affiliation wise,
If
uh,
that ability was on any defense except physical, it would be good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's a very good ability, and the fact that she drops objective tokens, I don't know how often. It's weird because this kind of makes you not want to not pick up an objective token,
But
and
then
that
she has the ability to make it easier.
yeah, she has kind of like she's a little bit to reference form. She has a little bit of scornergy, a little bit of
Yes.
scornergy there.
Oh,
I
that's why Fred likes her.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
like
didn't say I liked it.
these so from Supreme Control down, and Supreme Control is amazing. Like I mean, just get fucked, Web Warriors
Yeah,
is how I read
yeah,
that. That's
that is true.
essentially, yeah, that's what that does. So I think if you get power on her, you're pretty much exclusively going to be using power on Supreme Control. That is an amazing reactive superpower. And then again, she's hard to kill because of Ethereal. I don't like Submit. Like, it has to be a civilian token. Some civilian tokens are locked under targets of opportunity. Is that what they're something like that?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can't
Does
actually, huh?
does the senator count as a civilian token?
No, because you interact with safe houses first.
But
Right,
once
right.
he's
So
but once he's out,
Once he's
he
out,
is.
yes.
okay,
So,
yeah. So there are very few where that comes into play, and
yeah.
it's X, but it's basically 2 to 5, which is a lot
Yeah, I mean it's a
for.
lot, but like you could spend one power. She can't even get there though because she has a
No,
short move. I was gonna say you could spend two power if you have Soul Gem, and she could become a three threat Toad for a turn. But I don't know. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know that I care for this. It's very niche. I'll say that. I'm not saying that there's like a place for it.
it's
I don't care for it, and I think it's super niche. But other than that, like I think she has this cool kit. I don't think that she goes into Black Order really like very well. I do think that I think Criminal Syndicate actually really likes her because she's a short move, so you can keep her on a back point. But Supreme Control is range 4, so anytime like you already have these thick boys that are hard to get off of points, right? So if you have Juggernaut on one flank, people can't displace him because he can't be pushed by like enemy effects, and then he's size 4, so not a whole lot of things can like throw him. So you put him on a flank, and then you keep this girl on a back point, counting as 2, who's hard to kill, and then all of a sudden you can't push any of the CS characters off their points. So
that's fair,
I think
and
that
I
she's
agree. I think
gross.
that that's
Yeah.
her best. That's her best placement. That's the best place where she wants to be, and and like if someone were taking, if I knew that I was up against Web Warriors, this would be one that I would definitely reach for. But I mean, there are other affiliations where I think that she just doesn't even see the table.
Yeah.
Like if you're up against other affiliations.
Yeah, I think that she's again kind of what everybody's talking about. She's a niche pick. That she has some good tech in there for certain matchups. So she's not going to be taken all the time, uh, but she definitely has some interesting things going on for her. I want to talk about this spender.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think
That's the elephant on this card.
I think it's trash, and
I would.
I don't know that I care for what they've gone with here as far as like design wise, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But these incredibly high cost but potentially like high reward abilities, I don't. Maybe it's just my playstyle, but I really don't care for them. And one thing I specifically don't care for this is it costs you 8 power. I know it's on, and it's 8 dice. I know that's on a 3 threat character, which is strong, but she doesn't generate power very well. I mean, she does. If you're taking a Soul Stone, I think she really generates her power. She'll be swimming in it. But other than that, I don't know that you want to make her a 4 threat character. Like, I don't know that taking Soul on her is worth it. But it's high cost. It's high dice. You can make them lose power, so you're not getting any damage out of it. It has a wild stun, which is great. It has a double wild stagger, which is good. That's what you want. But I do not like the Devour Mind trigger, and I think because of that, it's not a very high chance to go off, which is not my complaint. My complaint is what it does, which is it automatically dazes a character, or it automatically KOs a character. And I think because this ability has all this crazy shit to it, that whenever people do this, if they do it, you're you are actively not going to want to do it unless you really want a stagger, which there are easier way like take Black Cat and pay 2 power and stagger somebody if that's what you're looking for. Like fishing for a double wild stagger is there's just better options for it.
You're going to be fishing a while.
Yeah, the Devour Mind trigger, I feel like it's such a low chance to happen that, like, if you choose to do this spender and you get it off, like, it'll probably feel good for the person that does it, and it's a neat trigger. But I feel like because it's such a low chance to happen, which I'm, like, pretty positive Brad mathed it out, right?
Well, Cerebro did.
Cerebro did.
It was 6.75%.
So that's a 6%.
With no dice bomb.
Yeah, that's a 6% chance, and the effect is
7%
is crazy, right? Like, depending on who you hit, it's crazy. So, like, let's just say that there's a fucking Hulk on the table, and you roll this, and you hit your 6% chance. Like, the randomness of it happening, like, this obviously is a dice game, but the randomness of this happening is so rare that I feel like all it does is just lead to a negative play experience. Like, I would rather have a lower power cost, lower dice pool thing that you're probably going to use more, and it not have something like this that could just make another player feel absolutely terrible, than to have this kind of neat 6%er. Like, if you guys can see where I'm coming from, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but I don't like effects like this in the game. I feel like it just leads to a bad feeling on the table.
I think that from my perspective, I'm looking at it from the other side, and I want to say that with 8 dice against a lot of characters, you're probably gonna get the daze or the KO anyway. Like, your chances are probably better.
It doesn't do damage.
Well,
it doesn't do damage.
My point here being that if you were doing an attack that did damage, your chances would be better at getting that result if you just did the damage instead of having this weird effect. Like, if it had been reworked in such a way.
I know when you're rolling, I see what you're saying. I guess my point is coming from, like, what if you have a piece on the table it probably would not happen to. In my example, was like Hulk.
Like Hulk. Yeah.
Like, if somebody has Hulk on the table, and let's say you haven't messed with Hulk because, you hit Hulk and you just power him up, you don't want to mess with him. So, like, Hulk, She-Hulk, Dormammu, all these things that you essentially, like, have invested 6 threat or more. So, like, even Magneto, who probably survives an 8 dice mystic attack because he's rolling like 6, like 5 to 6 to even 8 threat characters with Dormammu, especially Dormammu. If this kind of stuff, I don't know, if it happens, then you're just automatically down like 6 threat because somebody hit a 6% trigger versus, like, trying to all in your character with, like, damage, or trying to, you know what I mean, like, really prioritizing a character and trying to get, like, status effects and like planning out your turn where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, Hail Mary it, maybe I get this 6%er. I don't know, I just don't know if I like that, but go ahead, continue, Fred.
I see where you're coming from. I agree to an extent. I would be happy to see this occur to one of my characters because it would be cool as fuck. I think I want to see this occur. I don't think I ever will.
I wish this attack lost that trigger and cost 4.
Yes, I agree, 100%. Oh man,
it'd be a really cool attack.
It would be a much more useful attack. That would be much better.
Even 5.
Yeah, this attack falls into the same category as the Hulkbuster renewal in my head, where, like, it's crazy to occur, and if it occurs, I'm just gonna be happy. I just want to see it happen, even if it's my opponent. But I don't know if it ever will. Because you have how many games is this actually going to get used in? Like,
I
how many
think
times is she gonna have 8 power on her?
I think in like okay,
And
like if people play her competitively, I don't think that this. I don't think that. I think it's a trap, and I don't think that you ever use that spender. I think that you use
I
it.
agree.
You just hold your power for supreme control, and you use her to if she has power. I think you use her as power battery for tactics cards.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I agree. I think that you're correct. Uh, the she is there's some cool ideas here, and I feel like this was an idea sink where they just put a bunch of ideas into this sink and turned the faucet on. Uh, but I don't know if they come together into a soup that I want to eat.
what do you think about the design space for that ability, Brad? Like, do you like it? Do you wish that they would stay
The
away
auto
from?
KO or auto daze.
Yeah,
Yeah, they should stay away from that.
yeah. I don't. I just don't like it. But I mean, if you guys are on YouTube, um, let us know what you think. Do you think stuff like this is fun and flavorful, or do you prefer to stay away from stuff like this? I'd love to hear like not just from my guys that I record with. I'd love to hear from all of you and see kind of what you think about this kind of ability. I mean, it is neat, but I don't know that something like that is necessarily good for the game. So, um, yeah. Is there anything else you guys kind of want to touch on that's on her card that you'd like to talk about?
I mean, her defenses are interesting. I know that the 1 and then 3/4, the one's there because of ethereal, and she can only ever take 1 damage from physical attacks, and it means that she's got staying power against characters that can't do any other type of attack, but it also means that she can't ever hold an objective.
Yeah,
Like, you can't ever hold an extract because she's not going to defend against anything. She's
yeah.
got 1 defense.
I don't know. Her short move kills me. I am not sure why she
Yeah.
doesn't have a medium move. I don't think that was necessary, but
I think that if she had a medium move, she would have to be 4 points.
yeah.
And at 4 points, she would just never see play. She'd be useless.
Well, is there anything that else that you want to add on to her, Brad?
Yeah, I think I.
All right. Well, then I guess we can go ahead and give her a rating, and then right after this, we are going to kind of touch real quick on the tactics cards. Now that we know the text of them that come in CP 81. But yeah, real quick, let's give her a rating. We'll start with you, Fred. What do you give her? Hot take
Uh,
rating.
uh, okay, hot take grading. I don't want to go as low as a D, so I want to give her a C. I
Okay.
think that she's C tier. Uh, she's not like there's some cool stuff here. There's some interesting stuff, and I think there's even situations where I would want to put her on the table. It's it's just that those situations are few and far between.
Yep. Yep. What about you, Brad? What do you give her?
See.
C. All right.
Yep.
I also give her a C. Probably like closer on the closer end to a D than a C, but yeah, I mean she definitely has a lot of cool stuff. Like I really love Ethereal, I really love Supreme Control, and I really love Omnipathy. Like all those effects are really cool effects. Um, I think that her short move really hurts her. I fucking hate her spender. She like I just the short move. I think that's really what kind of kills it for me. Like everything else is, I mean, and props to AMG because just when you think that like they're running out of like design because they've done so much, like they come out with shit like this, right? Like
Yeah.
Ethereal is like a really cool ability. So
Yeah,
I think it's cool. Like Mental Vampire is cool. Supreme Control, cool. Like I don't know. Just when you think maybe they're kind of running out of ideas or something, they hit you with some stuff that you would have never even thought would come in the game. So it's pretty
There's
neat.
plenty more food in this idea hole that they've got. So.
Yeah, I mean they've got plenty of gas in the tank, so props to them. But yeah, so we're all pretty much in a unanimous C. A niche pick that can probably make it into some rosters. Probably not splashed around a lot. Probably not used in affiliation very much. But uh, yeah, only time will tell how well that holds up. Who knows? A few months from now, she might be everywhere. So
Fair. I'd like
If
to know
she
what.
is, it's because of the anti-pushing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you gonna say something else, Fred?
Yeah, I was gonna make a dig at Brandon. I'd like to know what he would put her if he would put her as an F, or because he tends to grade lower than us, or if he would grade her much higher than we did. I'm interested. We'll have to
Maybe
message him.
maybe Brandon can comment below on the video. You will need to make a note of that. We can ask him next week when he's on.
Okay.
Yeah. So real quick, as part of the character review, I do want to touch on the cards that come in the CP81 pack. Black Onslaught, we thought it might have been like a Wakanda Forever Midnight Suns, which is those are both tactics
I
cards.
never thought that.
So I thought somebody else agreed with me.
It might have been Brandon. I never thought that. That's way too good for them.
Yeah, I don't think you ever said you thought that's what it was. I do remember you saying that they did get it. That'd be crazy, which they didn't.
Yeah.
But Wakanda Forever stuff, that was in affiliation, you pay power. You can make, anybody that pays power can make an attack with the cost of 0. I thought maybe that's what they would get. But Black Onslaught is reactive. If Black Swan is within 2 of an allied Black Dwarf when she uses the charge superpower, they may each play 1. After the charge move is resolved, but before making the attack, you can put Black Dwarf within 1 of Black Swan. So whenever she specifically charges, they can pay 1, so it'll cost Black Swan 3, it'll cost Black Dwarf 1, and then she does a drop off for Black Dwarf.
Wow. Not a full drop.
Not a full drop off. It's a shittier drop off. He doesn't get the free attack, and she has to specifically be charging. Like, this is cool, I guess, because Black Dwarf is slow. I feel like this is something that you would want to do turn 1. But turn 1, you still can do it, but Black Swan's
You won't get
not.
an attack.
Yeah, Black Swan's probably not going to be in range to charge. So, like, if you have Power Stone, she can do it. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure that you would. I don't know. This card's neat. Like, you can get him in the back line later. Like, if it was a different character, that'd be cool. But because it's Black Dwarf, I don't know.
I think that they put these cards, this one and a later one specifically, are there so that people are incentivized to play characters that don't see the table quite as often.
Like,
And
so you're taking Mothership. Always. You're taking, sometimes you're taking Blood Despair, but not always. Those are 2 Black Order cards. You're always taking your 2 restricted cards, right? I don't know that, like, this makes it in, like, I don't know. I just feel like they need other cards. I don't know
yeah,
where
I
you take
agree.
this.
I feel like this is a fun game card. This is
Yeah.
a game that's not for competitive play.
Yeah.
I not to say that it's not competitive. It's just it takes up a slot in your very limited 5-slot available cards
Yeah.
for a game, and this is a neat effect. I don't know if it's worth a slot.
So the next one up is First of the Black Order. So it's a reactive card. If your squad does not contain Thanos, Mad Titan, after deployment when you would normally select your leadership ability, Corvus Glaive. So specifically Corvus may play this card. Corvus Glaive gains the following leadership ability. It is your active leadership. So the leadership is Right Hand Man. When an allied Black Order character dazes or KOs an enemy character, all other Black Order characters gain 1 power. So when you daze or KO somebody, everyone else gets gets one, except for the character doing the dazing or the KOing. I think some people were hopeful that this would be a leadership card that you could play on any of the Black Order members, similar to Convocation. Unfortunately, it has to be on Corvus, and the leadership is not. It's not bad.
It's not as good as Thanos's.
It's not as good as Thanos's.
It's got caveats in there. It's an extra power in an affiliation that's very power hungry,
Yeah.
but also has access to lots of extra power. I mean, it's neat.
Here's the biggest problem with the card. It doesn't have the line the Convocation card has, that it does not count against your 5 for the game.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
So if you bring this, you only have 4 cards.
And it specifically states Corvus Glaive may play this card, so he has to play it, which means it has to be a card in your hand, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're going to be attack this card down, and then Corvus has to be your leader. And
I think that part's fine.
Yeah, and then the leadership, I mean, it's like I said, it's okay. Like, all Black Order members like power. Like, they all, except for, like, maybe Proxima, all of them want, like, an insane amount of power to be able to do the things that they want to do.
They're a thirsty group.
Yeah, they're very thirsty. I don't know. It's okay. I'm disappointed that you can only play it on Corvus. I wish that they had something that you could play on any model, so you could flex a little bit with what you do, but it's still, this card kind of gates you into playing Corvus and Proxima, which I think with the CP81 release was kind of what some people were like hopeful for, I guess, was a reason to kind of shy away from Corvus and Proxima. Unfortunately, you know, with the characters that were released in the kit, it doesn't seem the case, and then also with this leadership, it just kind of gates you into playing Corvus and Proxima more, so I don't know.
I think that this is designed to make people stop playing Thanos.
Maybe. He is everywhere. He's in like a majority of, I think in the top 4 of the Season 7 for TTS, Thanos was in every single list. Thanos with 2 stones.
Because he kicks ass.
No, maybe, I take that back. There was one Thanos that just had mind, but all the other ones had 2 stone. So yeah, I mean, he's insanely good. He's the craziest control piece in the game, so.
And I think that they were trying to create a space in Black Order where you don't have to bring him. And
unfortunately,
that seems like a fool's errand just in general.
Yeah,
it seems like it's
the only thing that, like, they said that they're not gonna keep you from playing characters, but if we do get a rotation and they rotate Thanos out, it's a whole nother story about.
I hope they don't rotate characters. That's not something I want in the game.
Yeah, I don't either, but if any one character is going to get...
Yeah.
It's going to be Hulk.
Yeah. Broken. The last card is Psychic Shockwave, so it's unaffiliated, so you don't need Black Order. Supergiant and Ebony Maw may each spend 3 power to play this card, and then essentially it is... the
well-laid plans.
Well-laid plans. So roll 5 dice for every enemy character holding an objective. They take a damage for each crit and wild rolled, and then you drop all the tokens you're holding. So, yeah, it's well-laid plans with more expensive characters. Taking this card is going to cost you minimum 8 threat, possibly 9 threat, depending on if you have a Space Stone. No, possibly 10 threat. Depending on if you have Space and Soul Stone, respectively, which means that if you're taking both of these characters, unless you're playing at 20, you're probably playing Black Order. So, I don't think that this gets too much play. I mean, it might get some play if you play Thanos Black Order. Maybe Thanos Black Order is really, really good. I don't know.
I was wrong. I said power earlier, and that was incorrect. But what I think that this is well laid plans exists, and those are two characters that do work also, and they may do more work than Ebony Maw and Supergiant. So, I mean,
Ebony
you've hit
Maw
the
is
nail
gonna
on.
do work if he ever sees the table.
Okay, fair.
I mean, Ebony Maw does do good things. Like, I actually really
Yeah.
like Ebony Maw. It's just hard to you,
Fit him in.
you don't play him really in Black Order. Let me rephrase too. He's not getting played in Black Order. And then 5 threat base is a lot to ask for your splash, especially if you're like, I don't know, like he's hard to splash in because there's so many good 5 threats out there. And then if you're putting a space stone on him, making him 6 threat, I think that like he's insanely hard to splash. Like Hulk is probably the most splash like 6 threat character. I don't think that She-Hulk's getting splashed, and I don't think that Magneto, like, you don't really splash him
Oh,
uh, too much. So, what'd you say?
I said no. You're not splashing Magneto.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know that he does enough to warrant splashing a 6 threat. And in general, unless you have a
Yeah.
game plan for it, you're not really splashing
You know who
those kind of
splashes a
points.
lot easier? Green Goblin and Doc Ock.
Yeah.
If you're going for this effect,
Yeah, I think that you just don't play this unless I think this is. I mean, it says unaffiliated. You're playing Black Order. Like I don't.
it's a
Yeah,
black one.
it's Black Order.
It might as
You're
well.
not playing
It
this.
makes no difference.
Yep. So
Jared, we're gonna find out if Thanos Black Order's any good because I'm gonna play it on game night.
yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it will be good. Maybe you're gonna show everybody up.
Yeah.
You actually probably
I don't
have the
know.
most Corvus and Proxima experience out of any of us. So I mean, Ebony Maw is really good. Like I know that like after his update, I so this is taken from somebody who's like not like played him too much, but I have seen him play. Like I've played against him, and I think that he's fine. Like he's fine. I just it sucks that he only suffers from not going super well in his affiliation, which again, Thanos Black Order might be the tits, and like we just don't know about it, or he's just like his cost is too much to splash, and if you can afford 5 threat worth of splash in your list, I don't know that he's the one that you reach for, like with all the other
unless
characters out there.
unless you specifically want like strong mystic attacks.
Yeah, unless you specifically have a plan for him, or you specifically like you want that kind of tech. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that you take it. But anyways, those are the 3 cards. I don't. First of the Black Order might be good. I'm not. I don't find the other 2 very compelling. Um, First of the Black Order, time will tell what this card does for them with the Analyst Black Order. Maybe it's good. I'm inclined to try it myself. Brad already said he's going to try it, so maybe we'll get some of those games recorded. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? You guys think? You think that these cards are compelling and add stuff for the Black Order, or no?
Oh no, in general, no. You will not play any of these cards if you're playing Black Order.
What about you,
I
Fred? What do you
agree.
think? Okay.
Brad said it all.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our Supergiants review. So that's everything for CP81. If you want to check out Black Swan, we had our episode released last week. Yeah. So on to comic books. I am actually coming at you with a comic book recommendation this week, and I'm going to recommend the Infinity series. You can actually find Infinity has a very thick book that has all the issues in it that kind of cover the whole storyline. Um, the storyline involves Thanos looking for his son Thane. Uh, and he pretty much scours all over the place and Earth to find it. It has a wide variety of superheroes in it. It just goes all over the place, as well as gives you a really in-depth look at all of the Black Orders. So if you're wanting to kind of check out any of them, the only one that's not really in it is Black Swan. She's in it for a couple panels.
Which is why I didn't recommend her
Yeah.
this book last week.
All the other, well, if you want to see one panel of her learning Latin from Beast, you can, I guess, pick up Infinity for that. But outside of that, it has all the other members in it. So, Thanos, Corvus, Proxima, Black Dwarf, Ebony Maw, Supergiant. They're all in there, and they all have, it kind of focuses in on all of them really good. She specifically has some cool moments, and I won't spoil too much, but the way that she is defeated in the comics is probably the coolest, I think, out of any of them, the way that she goes down. So, it's a little bit more on the expensive side. I'm assuming Infinity is on Marvel Unlimited, isn't
It
it?
is.
Okay.
It is.
So, I happen to have the thick book, but it's pretty expensive. So, I think for the cost of the book, you could just get a 1-year subscription to Marvel Unlimited.
You can usually get a 1-year subscription for $60.
Then yes, you can, in fact, instead of buying the book.
That's not the base price, but it's on sale for that price like several times a year.
Okay.
So
Yeah, when it goes on sale, instead of buying this book, just get you a year subscription to Marvel Unlimited and read Infinity anyways, in addition to all the other comics that Brad suggests. So,
thousands of comics.
so yeah, Infinity. You actually said that you know who wrote it. I did not do my research.
So it's written by Jonathan Hickman, which remember the hardback. Well, I didn't. The individual issues I let you borrow of House and Powers.
Yeah,
Jared, same writer.
Do you know who the artist is?
Yes,
I know it's multiple artists, but
yeah, the artists. There were 3 that they rotated on. I was getting to that, but I wanted you to know that it was the same writer because you liked both books.
I do. They're very good.
Jim Chung, Jerome Apina, and Dustin Weaver.
Now, did any of those artists illustrate any of the X-Men stuff that you let me borrow?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, all the stuff that you let me borrow is beautifully illustrated, but this book it has some very, very cool panels in it, and just everything in general is very beautifully drawn and very beautifully illustrated. I mean, they really, when the characters specifically for me, because I don't read a whole lot of comics, but the characters, whenever they actually go to fight and do stuff, it's just, they do all of them justice on the page, I feel like. So, check it out. It's a really cool comic. I enjoyed every bit of reading it. So, all right. Well, with that, I think that wraps us up for this week. Did you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I actually do. This is going to be another episode of Fred's non sequitur recommendations.
It's going to be Big Friendly Giant, right? BFG.
Nope.
The old animated one. So good. That's my recommendation. Watch BFG, the old animated one.
What I'm recommending is a game. It's a video game by Supergiant Games, and it's a game called Hades.
Oh my
came
god!
Out in 2020.
That's a great game.
It is an excellent game.
It's
I
so
went back
good.
and played it again relatively recently, and it is so good.
It is so good.
You can lose a decade of yourself in that game.
Yep.
It is just eminently replayable. It came out It came out of early access in 2020, and it could not have timed itself better. So go play Hades.
What does that classified as? Like a roguelike?
It is a roguelike.
Yeah, but it's
like
a hack and slash.
Is it a roguelike or a roguelite? I think it's a light.
No, it's a roguelike. I think
you don't unlock things that you then get in later runs.
Yeah, you do.
Then it's a light, not a light.
Okay. Well, all right.
Well, that
It is
yeah,
a roguelike.
that game is really
Rogue
really good.
Fred, rogue likes you have to start from scratch every time.
Fair.
Nothing carries over.
That game is so chock full of lore. Like it blew me away with like how much stuff they actually had in there.
And it's all voice acted.
It's all voice
It's
acted.
like
Yeah,
excellent.
it's really really good. The animations are crazy on it. Fred,
Hey,
what
guys, you should go play Hades.
S through F? Fred, what would you give Hades?
A hard S.
Hard S. Yeah,
It
it's an
was
S. Yeah, it's
hard
an S tier.
S.
Yep,
Absolutely.
it's a good game.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was
This
going to
game
be a
is gonna be a
segment.
fun one.
Your weird recommendations that
Oh,
tie
yeah.
into the character,
This
but
is-
I like them. I like them a lot.
My non sequitur recommendations.
All right. Well, that wraps us up for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're not subscribed, please give us a sub. Let us know if you want to hear about anything in particular in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening to us in podcast format. You can email us at crithitwild@gmail.com. So, yeah, send us whatever you want. But until next week, we'll see you guys later.